In a world where losing in your fantasy football league isn't an option, we present to you Triple Coverage Podcast.
Hey YouTubers, make sure you click subscribe below if you want to see any more of these cool videos. Today we're going to do Show Me Your Committees. We're breaking down the Cleveland Browns, Baltimore Ravens, and the Miami Dolphins. And if you have time, go on www.podcastawards.com and make sure you nominate us starting July 1st. There's about a month and a half of nominations and votings going on, so if you could please go on there and do that, we'd highly appreciate it. So sit back, crack a cold one, and enjoy.
In a world where losing in your fantasy football league isn't an option, we present to you Triple Coverage Podcast.
The other 6 were on this drive where they got all the way down to the 12.
The drive heard around the world. Go ahead. I can't wait to hear more about this drive. Go ahead. Did they get a field goal out of it?
They didn't get a field goal out of it.
Yeah. He should be the starter. There's no other option. I guess Jeremy Hill.
Wow.
You are the man, Jeremy. Okay. So he had 6 touches on the drive. For 16 yards.
Which running back was a part of the biggest, longest drive of the game?
You're right.
It wasn't
You're
Gio
right
and it
with
wasn't
that.
Mixon. Excuse my language.
You're right
How
about
does
that.
that
But we're
not
saying
have
that
anything to do with anything?
that
Like,
doesn't
I don't
compute
understand why
to-
it's a laughing matter.
to playing
It's
time.
hilarious to me.
It doesn't compute to playing time, in my opinion. For
Yeah.
Marvin Lewis to be like, you know what? It wasn't a longest drive, so you got to start him.
He did start already, but that's beside the point.
Right. But this all started because we were saying, is Jeremy Hill droppable or not? That's always where this started.
I'm sorry.
Are you guys smoking
He's had-
weed out
look,
back
he's had a
or
couple of
something?
drinks.
These guys are over here laughing their ass off. Like, can't even keep their straight. Excuse my language.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're over there holding it together pretty well.
I am holding it together.
You are.
Somebody has to. Okay, so
alright.
this game was a snooze fest, clearly.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, everybody. And for the record, Jeremy Hill was droppable, and we were big advocates of that because he didn't do anything the rest of the season.
Correct. I'm James Up. This is Jay Up.
What's up, guys?
Whoa, whoa. Yeah, I don't know what his obsession was with Jeremy Hill. That was a very long intro, but it had to be done because I went back and listened to old clips, and I could not stop laughing at the Jeremy Hill drive heard around the world, as Jay said, that they got a field goal out of, and Travis said he's not droppable because he had 6 rushing attempts for 17 yards in the entire game. Yeah, so that was a great argument by Travis that didn't make any sense to me.
I'll tell you what, that clip, it made me miss Travis. Like,
Yeah.
I miss him. I think he's out of town right now, obviously. Where's he at?
Right near the beach, boy.
Yeah, Laguna, right?
Yeah, did you see the view you sent?
I did not.
He's like, I think their hotel room is in the sand on the beach. It's like very close.
Wow. I think they have a house. It's a beach
Here.
house.
Oh, okay. Well,
Sutton Rich.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's making money with this podcast and we're not. Maybe that's how he can afford it.
Yeah, maybe we
Maybe
don't know
all the
about
money
it.
just filters right through him. I don't know, but good for him.
All
And
right,
maybe it's
so-
all the fronts that he's running.
Yeah. So today is obviously your favorite. This is the 3rd installment of Show Me Your Committees.
Let's see him. Yeah, 3 interesting teams actually. Baltimore, Cleveland, and Miami. All
Yes.
3 teams probably aren't going to make the playoffs this year, but there's some interesting fantasy relevance in the backfield. So do you want to start alphabetical?
Let's start with Baltimore because I think that you and I are kind of on the same page on this one, but it was very confusing.
Yes.
Not the players, but I came to the conclusion after sitting there and thinking about it for actually quite a while. Like this
Well,
team took me the
who's the
longest.
names that we're talking
The Baltimore Ravens. The committee they're working with right now is Alex Collins, Buck Allen, and Kenneth Dixon.
Okay.
They could bring in other guys into camp. Camp hasn't really started yet. Mandatory camp hasn't. So they could bring in other guys, other free agents to maybe try them out. But the thing that surprised me, number one, is that they didn't draft any running backs.
Or sign any free agent running backs.
Correct.
Which like the DeMarco Murrays are out there still. There's still a couple of guys that are hanging around for whatever reason, maybe age or whatever.
Veterans, yeah,
But
older guys.
CJ Anderson was available at one point. Like there was a lot of guys that were of value that were still there, and they decided not to go and get one of those guys.
Which if you look at their team, besides, well, even including Joe Flacco, because they drafted Lamar Jackson, they're in a full-on rebuild.
Yeah.
They brought in a brand new receiving core. Every single guy changed except for Chris Moore, I believe.
They drafted 2 brand new tight ends in the draft.
2 brand new tight ends.
Very high.
Yeah, they didn't do anything to their running back, but when I started digging with these guys, I started looking, James, I don't know if you saw this or not either. None of the 3 have any sort of draft pedigree whatsoever.
Right, they're all back.
Alex Collins was a 5th-round pick in 2016. Kenneth Dixon was a 4th-round pick in 2016. And then Buck Allen was a 4th round in 2016. So none of these guys have high pedigree. None of them are even making $1 million a year, which I thought was also interesting. And 2 of them are going to be free agents next year. So they literally could be in a situation where if they didn't like the way these 2 guys play, which is Collins and Buck Allen, they're both free agents after this year. If they don't like the way they produced, then they're probably going to be out the door, and they can bring in somebody else in the draft maybe. So they're a team that I'm looking for maybe next year, possibly taking a draft pick, a high running back, because the only guy they're going to have under contract is Kenneth Dixon, and I've heard rumors that he may be on the roster bubble.
Well, okay, I want to dive into kind of where these guys are going. So an average draft position for a dynasty startup, Alex Collins is the leading that, and it's by a lot. He's actually going running back number 28 overall. He's 23 years old. He's going 67th overall as far as players, but running back wise, number 28. To me, okay, the size I noticed that was like literally these guys could be mistaken for each other if you're seeing them from the back because they're literally the exact same. 5'11", 216 for Alex Collins. Buck Allen is 6'1", 216 pounds. Kenneth Dixon's 5'10", 216 pounds. They literally all weigh exactly 216 pounds, and they're all within 2.5 inches of each other, height-wise. So it's not like one of these guys is going to be the goal line, one of them's bigger because he's, this, or this guy's smaller, so he's going to be receiving back. They're all kind of the same type of back. But what really intrigued me when I was going through these is how in the world is Kenneth Dixon missed the entire season last year, and he's being drafted as running back number 51, whereas Buck Allen last season finished as running back 24 in a PPR league, meaning he was a RB2 last season, okay? RB2, he's being drafted as the 85th running back overall, meaning like he's not even almost draftable in a dynasty startup. Please explain to me how a guy goes from an RB2 season to completely falling off the map when he's only 26 years old.
Well, he'll be 27 when
at week one. At week 1, he'll be 27. Okay, so
this is the only thing I can think of because I'm kind of in agreement with you. I don't know why he's dropped so far, but
blasphemous.
This is the only thing I can think of possibly, is that they drafted Kenneth Dixon to be the guy when they drafted him, and I know he was drafted in the 4th round, so it wasn't a high pedigree pick. But I think they drafted him to be the guy, and they wanted to use Buck Allen as a receiving back. In 2016, Kenneth Dixon was suspended for 6 games. And he was also hurt. Okay? So that kind of threw a wrench in the works, which is why they had to go out and get Alex Collins from Seattle.
Why they keep giving him chances then? If he gets hurt, he's suspended, then he's hurt, he's suspended, and you have a guy that's producing as an RB2.
I think he's only been suspended once, but he's been injured twice. So he missed all of last year, but they said he's already healthy to be in camp this year. Like he's not restricted. So people have been waiting for his upside. Especially Baltimore, because Baltimore has been the one pumping him up.
But Kenneth Dixon didn't play in 2017. So the season that he did play was 2016, and he only had 88 attempts.
Because he was suspended.
Right, and he had 30 catches though.
Right. So everyone. This is the only reason. I'm not saying that this is how I feel. I'm just saying that this is what everybody's argument is going to be. Is that the potential of Dixon is still there, and so they look at it like as a potential thing to where Dixon was supposed to be the guy before he got hurt and suspended and all this other stuff, and he missed the entire 2017 season. Buck Allen was kind of an afterthought, and they kind of used him last year as a complimentary back. So if in a PPR league he's finishing as a back end RB2 or a top end flex guy, because of the receptions. Alex Collins, I don't know if they believe he's the answer there. They're going to roll him out as a starter this year, but I don't know if they believe he's the answer.
Yeah, but Alex Collins, he played all but 1 week last year. He finished as RB number 19, which is also a back-end RB2. So that 2 guys, Collins and Buck Allen, were both RB2s last year.
Right.
And you were very happy from where you got him because the chances are you got him as like your 5th running back. And the fact that they're producing as a running back too is awesome for you if you did have any one of these 2 guys. But yeah, like you said, Javoris Allen, or Buck Allen as they call him, had 46 catches last season. 46 catches for 250 yards. But the thing that stood out for me was Alex Collins, his average carry right? 4.59 yards a carry he averaged, which is very high,
very
very
good.
well for the Baltimore Ravens, who didn't do much. They were on the cusp of the playoff hunt the entire season, but didn't really do much. He's averaging over 4.5 yards a carry, and that was with 212 attempts. So he was just under 1,000 yards. He had 973 yards. He had 6 touchdowns, and he played very well. So clearly, me and you both agree, and everyone around, Alex Collins is going to be the #1 option there, right?
Right.
So to me, it's between Buck Allen or Dixon. Now, if you're telling me that I got to spend a pick on Kenneth Dixon is going, what, 7 rounds? 7 rounds essentially ahead of Buck Allen. 7 rounds ahead. Or you can get Buck Allen, who was an RB2 last season. Like, what is not even a question for me. I'm not even considering taking Kenneth Dixon to where he's going.
I wouldn't. I'm not taking Buck Allen or Kenneth Dixon that late. I'm vested in Alex Collins because he's in a free agent year. But I think that they're gonna. If Alex Collins has a good year this year,
You're not taking
I think
Buck
they
Allen at
re-sign-
running back 85?
I don't think
Like, why?
because I think that Kenneth Dixon, if he stays healthy, they're gonna give him a shot over Buck Allen.
Okay, but what did Buck Allen do to get, if the talent is there, and they saw what he did all last season?
I don't think the talent is there.
Well,
I
he
think
had-
he's just a guy.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think he was one of those situations where he was in the right situation.
But I mean, he averaged under 4 yards a carry, so that wasn't great for him. But he only had 150 attempts, 153 attempts. He had almost 600 yards, 4 touchdowns, and like we said before, he had 46 catches. So
I think he was a product of the situation.
But
I
you
don't
can
think
fit
he
in.
repeats anywhere near that this year.
okay, well they did lose Danny Woodhead. They also lost Terrence West. Woodhead played 8 games last season. West played 6 games last season. Between the two of them, not many attempts. Rushing wise, they only had 54 attempts, but there was 35 catches that went their way. So that's 35 more catches that are now available for whoever wants to take them down. I don't think that's going to be Alex Collins. I think that's going to be split between Buck Allen and Kenneth Dixon. And to me, if you're telling me that Buck Allen can get anywhere near 40 catches like he did last season, I don't know. Like he's going running back 85. He's going to be your 24th guy on a 25-man roster. If he does anything at all, like you win. And if not, who cares?
No, I see what you're saying. I completely agree with what you're saying.
I'm so turned around when I did that. I couldn't believe it.
But my point is, and I think the dynasty community is like kind of privy to this. I think that they realize what's going on. I think that Buck Allen is not that talented of a guy. He's going to be 27 when the season starts, and the last year was his only good year, and I think that's because of all the injuries and because of the situation he was in. I think that's a product of that. Like, you never talked about Buck Allen before last year. Alex Collins is the first and second down back. He doesn't get many receptions, and they want Kenneth Dixon to be the guy. For whatever reason, Baltimore is high on Kenneth Dixon. They like this guy. I don't think he gets cut. I know they say he's on the roster bubble. I don't think he gets cut. I think that Buck Allen will be gone next year, and I think they will re-sign Collins if he does anything at all in this free agency year. But he's also going to demand a lot of money. So it kind of depends on that, too. Do they want to pay Alex Collins if he has a decent year? Because, let's face it, the money that they're offering these guys now is stupid. You don't have to do much to get multi-year deals.
I don't think they sign any of these guys.
And they could end up drafting a guy, or they can end up bringing a veteran in the camp.
Last season, Baltimore Ravens as a team had 460 attempts, which was 7th overall. 7th most of any team overall, which I was kind of surprised by, because you think Alex Collins, Buck Allen, it's just a bunch of like guys that you don't have like a fantasy like stud or a big name guy that's just like your bell cow. So I was kind of surprised to see that they were at number 7 overall with 460 attempts. Like I said, they lost 53 attempts from Woodhead and Terrence West. Mm-hmm. So 53 attempts are up for grabs, and also 35 extra catches are up for grabs. I don't know. I think that Alex Collins is a clear-cut guy. But for me, if you're telling me that I got to take a chance on Kenneth Dixon, who's been suspended once with 2 injuries, going as running back number 51, I just don't see. I don't know. I just don't see myself owning either him.
To me, that's too high.
Or Alex Collins. I
To me,
think
that's
Alex Collins is going way too high for me.
But if I get to the end of my draft, and like you said, if I'm in like round 22, 23, 24, and both of those guys happen to be on there, now I'm not saying they're going to, because Dixon's obviously going higher.
Correct.
But if both of those guys are in like the late 20s round, I might go with Dixon just because of age and upside, because I'm not a real big believer in Buck Allen.
What's the upside? He in 2016 he had, like I said, 88 attempts for 380 yards. He had 30 catches. Like he didn't do anything special,
Because
then
they
he misses
want him.
all of 2017. So like, but I know, but what you're saying is like, it's almost like you said you've seen it before though, or something. Like why do you believe in his talent? He's had 2 seasons in the league and did nothing.
I believe the team is willing to give him another opportunity.
But why? Is he a first-round draft pick? No. Is
No.
he a second? Do they have anything really invested in him whatsoever? He's less than $1 million. Like, I don't understand what the.
He's under contract longer. He's not a free agent until 2020,
Yeah,
and
you know
he's
what I'm
not
saying?
making any
Like-
money.
like
So
for
he's not
Dy-
going to get cut because they're not going to save any money by cutting him.
None of the 3 guys are. You just said they're all making under $1 million. So, like, what do they owe Kenneth Dixon? Why do you think, or why does the fantasy community think that they owe him so much that they want to make him happen so bad? I just don't. It's not costing him anything to keep him on the roster. So as far as I'm
Maybe they
concerned,
build him up.
he might be completely just irrelevant this season, in my opinion.
They could. I don't want to own either one of those guys.
Okay.
I'll take Alex Collins and hope that he has a big year and maybe
Yes.
gets re-signed there. But
I think
the other two guys I really don't.
Alex
want.
Collins going too high for me, but if I had to pick one of those guys, it's Alex Collins, and then I'm throwing Buck Allen for sure as a 24th round. He's going 240th overall.
I know.
You're saying there's 239 guys better than Buck Allen?
I'll take my shot on somebody else. I'm not interested.
That's crazy. Okay. All right, we'll see what happens there. Buck Allen. Do you want to do a wall bet? Buck Allen outscores Kenneth Dixon?
Sure, I'll do a wall bet with you.
Okay. So
Let's put it on the
Buck
wall.
Buck Allen, who's going 34 running backs after Kenneth Dixon, I'll take Buck Allen.
PPR points.
Yep. For the season, correct?
Yep, for the whole season.
Okay. Go ahead.
Let's move on to the Cleveland Browns because to me this was one of the more interesting ones that we were going to talk about today. I love this committee, and I don't know for certain who's going to come out on top, but I love this committee. You have Carlos Hyde, who they just gave a 3-year contract to. You have Duke Johnson, who they just gave an extension to for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the rookie, Nick Chubb, who I love out of Georgia, who was supposed to be, all-world. He would have been up there with Saquon Barkley had he not had that horrific knee injury in college a couple years ago.
Or if he went to a different situation.
Yeah, possibly, yes.
Like imagine if he went to Seattle or Detroit or Indianapolis or one of those teams. I think he would be right there, number 2 over Darius Geis. I think.
So yeah, I believe so too. To me, I wrote down their ages as it would apply in week 1.
Okay.
So this season, Carlos Hyde will be 28, Nick Chubb will be 22, and Duke Johnson will be 25. I love the Chubb-Johnson combo, the 50-50 right there. Carlos Hyde, though, going back and looking at some of his stats, he's 6 foot, 235 pounds. He's been a solid running back, too, for his whole career.
Right.
I think people expected him to be an RB1.
He finished RB number 9.
Okay, so that's great. Yeah.
Last season he finished in a top 10 for a PPR dynasty league. He finished number 9 overall.
And I think it's because his receptions were way up because he didn't crack 1,000 yards.
Right, he had 59 catches.
Right, which was huge for him.
I mean, that's with San Francisco, so it's a different situation, different team. But going by the whole theory of Cleveland's probably going to be down a lot, do you want to own the guy that's going to be getting the catches, or do you want to be the guy that's getting the attempts? Like I don't know, but I do know. I feel very strongly about Duke Johnson, okay? He had 82 rushing attempts for 4 touchdowns last season because he had a couple of goal line touches, which that's going to be gone with Chubb and Hyde there. Like, he's not going to get those. Also had 74 catches. 74 catches, which was a ton for a running back, and he also finished in the top 12. He finished as running back number 12 last season. His receptions, mark my words, will be down minimum 20 catches this season.
I believe so too.
And the reason why is because you bring in Nick Chubb, you bring in Carlos Hyde. Both of those are not only running backs, but they can also catch very well.
All 3 catch.
You also bring in Jarvis Landry, who is known for short routes, slants, screens, short dump offs basically, and he averages around 100 receptions a year. And I know he's on Cleveland in a different situation, but that was with Miami, and Cleveland is about the same playing field as Miami. There's no way you're going to tell me that Jarvis Landry is not going to get 80 catches at least. So there's not enough balls to go around, in my opinion, and I think that Duke Johnson's receptions, if you are expecting him to get 75 catches again this season, you're going to be disappointed. I see him like right around 50 catches.
Right, which is still very beneficial in a PPR league, but you don't want to expect. I think he finishes RB11.
Who's that?
Duke Johnson.
Running back 12.
Running back 12.
And RB,
so he was a top 12. I still think he can get you solid RB2, but I think he's going to be back end RB2. I think he's going to be like around running back 20-ish.
But I think that we saw his ceiling. Last season he had a ridiculous year last season, and I think that's like he had 350 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns, almost 700 yards receiving, and another 3 touchdowns. Like we said, if you take away some of those receptions, he only had 80. He only had 82 attempts. Now you bring in Chubb. Who's going to get those attempts?
Yeah, he was basically paired with Isaiah Crowell, and that was it. It was Isaiah Crowell and Duke Johnson. Now you have Hyde and Chubb that you add to it. Here's what I thought was interesting. So, talk about dynasty startups, where they're going. So, Nick Chubb is going 42nd overall. Duke Johnson is going 84th overall. and Carlos Hyde is going 98th overall.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is that not great value for 98? Because even just say Hyde has a somewhat down year, and they decide to cut him because they can cut him and save a lot of money after this first year. If he goes somewhere else, I think he still will be an RB2. Like, I think he'll still be like a solid RB2 for a couple of years. But he's turned 28 this year.
Right, and meaning that after this season, if they do let him go, he's 29 now, and we know with 29-year-old running backs like DeMarco Murray, it's hard to find a job. So it's like you're 29, you're 30. If he has anywhere near a down year and they do let him go, he might be. So
Murray's turning down offers though. Like
that's
New
what he
Orleans
said.
tried to bring him in, and he didn't
for
want
a
to
workout. But yeah, he doesn't want to go somewhere where he's going to have to split the ball 5 ways. They lose Isaiah Crowell, like you mentioned. He had 206 rushing attempts last season, but they brought in Hyde, who for San Francisco had 240. So I'm interested to see how all these attempts are going to get split amongst each other, because last season Cleveland was down every single game, right? Cleveland rushing attempts last year, 384, almost 100 less than the Baltimore Ravens did. They finished number 28th overall out of 32 teams for rushing attempts. So 28th overall. So you're not getting many rushes. 384 rushing attempts split between 3 guys. Like, I don't know if any of these guys I want to own year one. Obviously, you're going to go with the youth, and you want Nick Chubb because of he's young, and you don't know what's going to happen with Hyde. Duke Johnson is what he is. So between those 3 guys, I want in order Nick Chubb, then Duke Johnson, then Carlos Hyde for me, because Carlos Hyde is, we don't know what he's going to be.
Which is the way it is in ADP. And to me, like, if you're talking redraft, I don't know if I want any of these guys in a redraft.
Do you know where they're going in redraft?
In a redraft, I don't.
I do.
Do you have it written down? Okay.
In a redraft, Carlos Hyde now, it's complete flip-flop. Carlos Hyde's going first, running back 34, which is in the 7th round.
Okay.
7th round, number...
That's not terrible value.
Right, 7th round, number 76 overall.
Right, that's pretty good.
Nick Chubb is going last amongst those guys. I'll do Duke Johnson second. Duke Johnson's running back 39. He's going middle of the 8th round, number 89 overall. Nick Chubb is going running back 43 in the middle of the 9th round, number 1. They're literally going exactly one round. 705, 805, 905. So you can get Chubb at 905, but I think I'd rather have Hyde at 705. If it's a redraft league and you only have him for 1 year, you don't really care what happens to him in the season.
Right.
And you're getting your guy that you've seen the talent, you know he can catch, you know what he can do. I'm taking my chances on Hyde or Duke Johnson before I do it with Chubb. And that's the difference between redraft and Dynasty, and that's what makes Dynasty so much more just interesting, is because it's a complete flip-flop of guys here. I mean,
I think in a redraft I would go Hyde, Chubb, Johnson in a PPR league.
Really?
I think that as far as where they're going.
In a redraft?
Yes. As far as where they're going. Like, I would rather take Hyde at 705. If I didn't take Hyde, I would rather have Chubb at 905 and not take Duke in the 8th round. I think there's other guys I can get in the 8th round that would be more beneficial.
I wish I had that pulled up for the
who
was going around them.
Yeah, that would actually make a huge difference. But yeah, I mean, it's still pretty close. But yeah, in a redraft, I think Hyde is the guy that I would want to get first crack to.
Yeah, I believe same thing. I'm going to look up real quick if you want to talk for like 10 seconds.
Yeah, the other guy that's on their depth chart is Matt Days, who I actually kind of like a little bit in Dynasty leagues if you're a super deep Dynasty league. But I've heard that he's on the roster bubble as well, so they may not even have him. And there really wouldn't be a piece of the pie to share this year anyways. It'd only be if they cut Carlos Hyde after next season. Okay,
so average draft position, let me click PPR, 12 teams. Okay, so we were talking about Duke Johnson at 805, correct?
Right.
So 805 is Duke Johnson. Here's the guys that are going around Duke. Where is he at? Okay, C.J. Anderson.
Right.
I'd
rather have C.J. Anderson.
Isaiah Crowell. Rex Burkhead.
I'd rather have, not Burkhead, but I'd rather have Crowell and C.J. Anderson.
Over Duke Johnson?
Yeah. Because Crowell is at least starting for the Jets. I don't believe he's going to lose his job. And I think that, who's the other guy we just said?
Rex Burkhead,
C.J. Anderson.
Oh, C.J. Anderson.
C.J. Anderson's going to be the first and second down back in Carolina, but McCaffrey's going to be the third guy.
So Duke Johnson's going at the 805, and C.J. Anderson's going 1 pick after him.
Okay.
So you have C.J. Anderson 1 pick after him. Right above him, a few spots, was Isaiah Crowell, and even above Isaiah Crowell is Rex Burkhead. And above Rex Burkhead is Aaron Jones. Like,
it's committee city right
I know,
there.
it's that whole 8th round. But of that 8th round, between Aaron Jones, Burkhead, Isaiah Crowell, Duke Johnson, C.J. Anderson, I like Duke Johnson, I think.
Yeah, but if you're looking, okay, and that's only if you need a running back. If you look at the other guys in that list there, You have guys like Robert Woods, who I would take a chance on. Jamison Crowder in a PPR league.
I'm not
Jordy
taking
Nelson even.
You like Jamison Crowder? What has he done?
A lot this year. He's going to do a lot without Smith.
5'8", 185.
I'm telling you, Alex Smith is the quarterback he needed.
Wow.
There couldn't be a better fit for Jamison Crowder than to get Alex Smith at quarterback.
Okay.
Check down king.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Mark my words. Buy Jamison Crowder this year.
Okay. So of the 3 running backs, Hyde, I just love the committee as a whole. I think that, again, I was 1 year early on Cleveland last season saying that they're going to go to the playoffs. I still don't think they might go to the playoffs this year, but I love their backfield and the receiving core. They are set up so well to succeed. If they don't succeed, something is going on.
I think this is the year. They're going to go from basically they had 1 win 2
0
seasons ago.
Yeah.
Last year they had 0. I think this year they take the jump and they get it's not going to be astronomical. It's
Right,
going to be like
6
a
or
5
5
or 6 wins season. Then the following year, I think that's when they all start to kind of gel and get together. Because if you finish 5-11, okay, you're obviously moving in the right direction. Now you get a decent draft pick again next year. So you're going to have another solid, not a top 3, but you're going to have another solid draft pick next year.
Mhm.
Top 10.
Okay.
You add that to the mix on where your deficit is, and the way their front office worked this last draft, I thought they did a fantastic job. Now you have Mayfield as your starter next year. You have possibly Chubb and Duke Johnson, Landry, Gordon. You have all the right fits. Maybe you go heavy defense next year, and I think that's when they kind of turn the corner and start to turn things around. I see them as a 5 or 6 win team this year, which is not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think they make the playoffs either. It's just their division is too tough. And Pittsburgh Steelers are still rolling how they are, and Cincinnati is just they're okay. Baltimore's they always just beat each other up so much that even if Cleveland does take a couple of games from them, at the most they're going to do is split with those teams at the best, which is not good starting off the season knowing that you're probably going to have 4 losses or 3 losses right off the get go just from your division.
Yeah.
So
That's why the Patriots win every year is because they just beat the crap out of their division.
that's it. Put them
6
in.
wins right there. Boom, boom, boom.
They should switch divisions every year. I mean, I know they would never do that, but keep the division winner like we do in fantasy. Keep the division winner and mix up the divisions every year. And let's put the top dogs with each other. Put the Vikings and the Packers and the Patriots and the Eagles all in the same division. Let them duke it out.
Yeah. That'd be pretty funny.
Let them beat each other up. Okay, last team. Go ahead.
All right, let's do it. So we have the Miami Dolphins. This was also an interesting one. Not as interesting as Cleveland to me, but a lot of question marks in this one, I feel. You have Kenyon Drake, who really turned it on at the end of last season. Frank Gore, who they brought in to be a veteran presence, obviously, and then they drafted Kalen Ballage.
I love Kalen Ballage.
That's their 3 main guys. I don't see Ballage getting any kind of carries whatsoever, even though he's built. Yeah, I don't see him getting carries. I think he's the main receiving back.
Wow. Okay. Hot take.
You
Is
see
there a
him
reason
getting
why?
carries?
Yeah, is there a reason why?
I just don't see him getting carries. He may get some goal lines here and there, but I don't think he's going to get a lot of first and second down unless Kenyon Drake gets injured. I think Kenyon Drake is the guy that's going to get the first crack at starting. Gore just never goes away though. I don't know what's going to happen with this committee. When they signed Frank Gore, I was kind of puzzled because I know Frank Gore wanted to go to Miami because he kind of grew up in that area. He went to college at Miami, so I get why he wants to go there, but I just didn't get the signing. I didn't get the way they set it up. I don't know what they're planning on doing, bringing in 35-year-old. He's 35,
Right.
Gore is.
Yeah.
So you have Kenyon Drake now. We'll go over this real fast. Kenyon Drake is 24 when the season starts. Gore is 35, like I just said, and Ballage is 22. Now, the smallest guy out of those 3 is Frank Gore. He's 5'9", 212.
Mm-hmm.
Kenyon Drake is 6'1", 211 pounds, and Ballage is built like a house.
Right.
6'3", 229 pounds.
So you're telling me that Ballage is not going to get the goal line most likely? He's not going to get the short yardage? Those are carries.
I said I think he'll get some goal line, but if you remember him in college,
I thought you said he's going to get all the catches.
he is going to get. I think he's going to be the receiving back. I think
Okay,
he's
so
a great receiver. I think they're going to be able to throw him out and have him run routes.
that's going to... He's the guy that I want to own out of these 3. I don't believe in Kenyon Drake. He came on like gangbusters last year. He played 14 games. He finished as running back number 31, so he finished as RB3. But that was because he didn't do much the first. Let me see here.
He was splitting with Damian Williams, and they hadn't traded Jay Ajayi yet.
Okay, so yeah, Drake did nothing the whole entire first half of the season, and then the last half he kind of killed it. They lose Damian Williams, who he only had 46 carries last year. He had 20 receptions for Damian Williams, so those are up for grabs. But Frank Gore, I was kind of surprised last season with the Colts, had 261 attempts almost rushed for 1,000 yards. He's still doing it, like Jay just said, but Drake only had 133 carries. So 133 carries, do we even know that Kenyon Drake can carry the load if he has to? Like, if one of these guys gets hurt, you feel comfortable with Kenyon Drake going from 130 attempts and 100 attempts to 275 attempts?
No, I don't.
Me either. So there's going to be a second guy there helping him out, and I don't know if that's Frank Gore at 35 years old. I mean, I want to believe in it, but Gore last season averaged 3.6 yards a carry. 3.6 is not great. He's obviously slowing down a little bit, but he did well because of volume. Kenyon Drake, on the other hand, 4.84 yards a carry. Almost 5 yards a carry, which is pretty damn good. It's hard to knock the guy. But for where he's going right now, it's just too much for me. He's going as running back number 25 overall, which is 58th overall in a dynasty startup. And it's too high for me. That's your RB probably too?
I agree. I'm not high on Drake this year. I really am not. I know he blew up this last 6 games of the season.
He started from the bottom. Now he's here.
Yeah. That's definitely the truth for him. And he wasn't really a starter at Alabama when he played in college either. So like,
he went 0 to 31 real quick.
He hasn't really gotten like the full load of touches
ever.
That's what I mean. So I don't know how he's going to hold up if he gets more than 200 carries. I really don't.
But if they try to do that and he gets hurt, then is Kalen Ballage not just going to completely just destroy this back? I don't know.
Well,
I don't know why I love Kalen Ballage so much.
Here's a couple of like clips and quotes that I pulled from Roto World, which everyone kind of looks at Roto World and kind of gets the gauge on stuff. He was a 4-year committee back for the Sun Devils, Arizona State. He amassed great lines, but his receiving line was more impressive. Ballage never averaged more than 14 touches per game in college. So you think, wow, this guy's 6'2" or 6'3", 229 pounds, never got more than 14 touches, not carries. And then it says, although his rushing efficiency was pedestrian, Ballage looks the part of a true 3-down back at times, and he shined at the Senior Bowl as a receiver. He showed high-end size-adjusted athleticism in Indy and ran a 4.46.
Right, he's that big and he's running a 4.46. That's pretty scary.
He has a history of ball security woes, and some scouts thought he looked like Tarzan but played like Jane.
That's me.
He was an underachiever in college with a chance to be a better in the pros, but that's a chance. And they say from camp that he's progressing quickly, and he drew rave reviews at OTAs, but that's with shorts and a t-shirt on. That's not really with the pads on. And I think that he said at times he's looked like Miami's best catching down back this year.
Okay, so you think it's going to be Drake and Gore split the attempts, maybe like 150 to 160-ish together, each. And then Ballage gets like maybe 40 attempts, and most of them are goal line, short yardage, and then he gets to receive. Okay, so
that's the way I feel it is.
So Ballage is going as running back number 44 overall and 131st overall in a dynasty startup.
Right.
If you include all the positions. And then Gore. I mean, Gore.
That's what I mean. I can't figure out Gore. Like, what is he gonna do?
Gore is going as running back number 82 in a dynasty, and that's obviously because of his age.
239 overall.
But yes, 239th overall. Essentially, he's going as where the who was it? Buck Allen was going.
Yeah.
So yeah, these are the guys that are going around Buck Allen. Buck Allen, who's 26 years old, about to be 27 years old, is going in the same round, a couple picks apart from Frank Gore, who's almost 36 years old.
No, he just turned 35.
Okay, 35 years old. So he's 7 years younger than this guy, and he finishes an RB2 last season. Gore finishes running back 20.
I know, but Gore's
and Buck Allen finishes as running back 24. Like they're in the same realm, and one guy is 7 years younger. How in the world are they going in the same round?
I don't know how they're going in the same round, but that's why I said, like, why would they bring in Gore besides to be a veteran presence? I don't understand why Miami wanted him, because they tried out DeMarco Murray, and Frank Gore.
I thought they should have got Murray,
and they went with Gore instead.
Right? Yeah. But you know what though? Because DeMarco Murray is more like Kalen Ballage. He's like the same body type as Kalen Ballage. He's taller, he's bigger, he can catch. He's basically Kalen Ballage. So they probably got Ballage a lot cheaper, drafting him in the 4th round than what DeMarco Murray wanted. So I'm sure it came down to money and contracts.
Don't get me wrong on Ballage though. I like Ballage, especially in a PPR league.
Yes.
But if it was standard, I don't like Ballage at all.
Almost. Right. In the standard redraft, they have Ballage going in the 14th round.
Right. Because
out of 16, so he'd be your last position player before you took your kicker in defense.
So even they are saying he's going to be just basically a PPR guy.
But what if he, to use your term, what if he just completely just blows up and
sell him?
And week 1 he gets 2 touchdowns on 3 carries, and then the second week he gets 1 carry for a touchdown and maybe like 2 catches, and he's just blowing up with 12 points and 15 points.
Sell him.
Wow. I mean, okay. I don't know. I think at some point, and I own Gore in a league, in a dynasty, and I kept trying to sell him and sell him and sell him. He's never been hurt. He's never had injury history. He's never getting suspended. He's that guy that you can always rely on in your flex spot, or if you come to a bye week where you're hurting and you need a guy to produce you 10 to 15 points, he's your guy. But now, that was with the Colts. They had nothing, literally nothing else. Even Marlon Mack, when he was there, he was kind of hurt. He wasn't really ready to take over anything. Now you put him in the backfield with a little bit of competition. I'm anxious to see if he really is Frank Gore. Has it been in the past, or is he finally going to take a step back and get less carries? There's no way he's going to get 260 carries again. So and he's only averaging 3.6 yards a carry, like we said. His value's got to plummet at some point. Yes. Yeah. So I think Kenyon Drake's going to get the majority of the carries here, and I think Balaj, you're going to be surprised. I bet you Balaj over/under carries is going to be over 100. I think he gets over 100. I think that looking at how many carries they had last season, I'm going to factor this in, is that Kenyon Drake's probably going to get about 200. So it's not ridiculous, about 70 more than he had. So he's going to get about 200. Balaj gets 100, and Gore gets the rest, which is about 60 to 85-ish rushing attempts. And Balaj, if you're telling me, is going to get 100 attempts and get the catches, the guy that I want to own is Caleb Balaj.
Maybe I'm just skewed because of the tape that I saw him in college. And I didn't watch his Senior Bowl, but I'm talking about like during the regular season, his last year at Arizona State.
He just doesn't run aggressive enough.
Okay, but you think 6'3", 229 pounds, he's probably running over guys that are in college who aren't that big.
Okay.
He was getting like tackled by the first guy. He wasn't breaking tackles. He was going down like at first contact. And you're like, how in the hell is this guy going down? He's 6'3", 229 pounds. And that's in college. So now you're going to the pros where the guys are bigger, faster, and stronger. And you're telling me that now he's going to break tackles? There's just no way.
Maybe.
There's no way he's going to go to the pros.
Maybe he's saving it for the pros. He didn't want to get hurt in college because he wanted to, I don't know. I mean, that's far. It's a little bit of a reach there, but
I don't know. When you actually watch the tape on him, which I did watch a little bit of highlight film on him, he goes down at first contact. So,
but
if
you're his coach,
a 6'3", 229 pound guy, you shouldn't be.
But if you're his coach and you know he's going to be getting significant amount of touches, how do you not say, "Listen, dude, like, what's the deal? You're bigger than anybody else on the field. Lower your shoulder. I want to see you hit somebody and run over a guy." If you can't do that, then he can't do that, and he's going to lose touches. He's going to lose carry. He's going to lose playing time.
And I think that's the problem is he's not lowering his shoulder because he runs a little bit more upright, which is why he has the ball security.
And that's why he's getting tackled.
Ball security issues.
But that's not coachable in the NFL level.
Okay, maybe it is. Maybe it is.
In the college level, he's splitting with 4 other guys that, like you said, like he's not really.
But I'm also telling you that the guys in college aren't as big as the guys in the pros. Like now you're playing against the best of the best. These guys are huge.
Okay.
6'3", 229. They don't. You think the linebackers give a shit about that?
Maybe. All I know is if he's running downhill and he's running the way he should be running, and he's coming straight up on a safety or he's coming up on a cornerback, they're not going to want to tackle him. So yes, linebacker, yes, okay, for sure. But if you get him out in the open field and he's able to get by that first line of defense into like where the safeties and the cornerbacks and maybe even some of the smaller linebackers, no one's going to want to tackle this guy in the open field. Like he's the size of like a Leonard Fournette, and when Leonard Fournette starts running downhill and he lowers his shoulder, and you're a cornerback and you're 180 pounds, you're not trying to get truck stick by that guy.
I think he's going to be great in the receiving game. So don't get me wrong, but he's a guy that if I end up owning Caleb Balaj, I won't have him for very long. He's a guy that I would be looking to flip as soon as he pops.
He's like Derrick Henry.
I'd rather have Derrick Henry than Caleb Balaj.
I don't know. I had to pick 205, I think it was, or 212. No, I think I had 212 in the thing that we just did, the rookie draft, and I was praying that he fell to me, and it wasn't even close. I think he went like a 205 or 206, I believe.
Which is where he should be going. He should be going the mid-second round.
Yeah.
After that tier of eight running backs.
I think that all 3 of these teams that we just did today, Baltimore, Cleveland, Miami, I think that they're going to go into a season with a particular plan. And I think that all 3 of these teams are going to be able to try numerous different juggling acts of, okay, let's try this, let's try that, because all 3 teams know they're not going anywhere. Neither one of these teams is going to win the Super Bowl, but it's just interesting from a fantasy standpoint to see what they do in the backfield. But I don't think that what they plan on doing, they're going to stick with. I think that once they start losing a couple games here and there, they're going to say, okay, you know what? this is not working running Kenyon Drake and Frank Gore 20 attempts a game. Let's give Kalen Ballage the ball. Or for Baltimore, you know what? Alex Collins is doing okay. Buck Allen's doing okay. Let's give Kaden Dixon a shot. Like, I think it's going to be rotated a lot, and I think that you're going to have to stay on your toes. And I wouldn't love to have any of these guys except for maybe Nick Chubb. Out of all the guys we talked today, these are all just guys. They're all RB2s or later.
Right.
But they can, if they do pop and they are consistent, they can help you win your fantasy league for where a lot of these guys are going. They're going as your third, fourth running backs, maybe even fifth or sixth running backs for some of these guys. And if they start playing like RB3s and RB2s, these are the guys that are going to win your fantasy leagues in the middle rounds towards the end of the late rounds. None of these guys are fantasy studs, but they do have that potential, and that's why we're talking about those guys. But yeah, I think that it's going to be interesting to see how all these backfields shake down, because injuries do happen, bye weeks happen, all these other things happen, suspensions happen, guys mess up all the time. If one of these guys happens to go down or get hurt, it's going to change the whole entire
Which
thing.
could happen anytime. And just before we get off of the whole, I know you kind of moved on, but the Miami, just the contract really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Kenyon Drake is a free agent in 2020, so they have him for 2 more seasons under contract, which I believe is his rookie deal still. They only signed Frank Gore for 1 year.
Right.
So this is his last year in Miami. They don't have any.
I think he retires after this.
Correct. And then Kalen Ballage is obviously a rookie, so he's under rookie contract as well. So this should probably be Frank Gore's last year, more than likely. And then you go into next season possibly with Kenyon Drake and Ballage both under contract. So they're in a good situation.
Like,
Two younger guys.
Am I crazy to think that Drake starts off the games and Ballage is a pass catching back, and then come the fourth quarter, they need that guy to lower his head, hammer down, get 3 or 4 yards of carry, and protect the ball and kill the clock is going to be Frank Gore. I think that's how it's eventually going to shake down. And that's where Gore's going to get his attempts. Is going to be in the second half in the fourth quarter. If Miami does happen to have the lead, it's going to be Frank Gore up the middle, knowing that he's got ball security, he never fumbles, he never gets hurt, and it's that one constant. Look, let's just give him the ball and run the clock out. And that's where he's going to get most of his attempts. It's not going to be, in my opinion, quality attempts in the first half when they're on their main drive.
No, I would agree with that.
Okay, well, we'll see how it shakes down.
So once again, NFL, we ask you to show me your committees.
Yep, show them and be proud. Take your chance on these guys. Let us know what you think. Email us or hit us up on Twitter, and think that if you after you listen to the episode, if you have a different take on it, tell us why you have a different take and how you see it shaking down for them.
Also, as you're watching the YouTube videos that you just finished watching, you should have saw a poll pop up, and you can actually vote along with us on the teams that we're talking about and tell us who you like. We see the results, so we'll kind of be able to gauge on that.
Pick your guy.
And don't forget to go on www.podcastawards.com and nominate us the whole month of July and most of August. You ready to crack a cold one?
Vote TCP. Let's crack a cold one.
Let's crack it.